Everybody, boxing boa. I want to talk about a few little things today. First, I got Prada. She's getting ready to go in the shed, but as you can see, that color is still popping. She's a super stripe, which is a recessive gene, and that brings me into morphs. Okay, she is a proven genetic morph. This super stripe is proven genetic. You see a lot of these boas for sale, and I'm gonna go ahead and call them out. Boa Basement, great guy, super nice guy, makes phenomenal boas, is selling made up genes. And what I mean by that is orange tail hypos are legit. You know, they're a Jeff G line, that's a legit hypo line. But the fine line that he's selling, that's a made up gene that was first produced by Jeff Ronnie about 20 years ago. Alright, now the fine line gene is all that is thin saddled boas. Some of them have connecting patterns, but that's something you find in every single boa litter today. Back then when that line first originated, there wasn't any morphs really. There was a hypo and albino, and that was about it. So anything that was kind of unique looking in a boa, people would claim that was a morph, and in reality it wasn't, which is also why he doesn't, you know, produce that line anymore, and he doesn't talk about the fine line anymore, because even he realizes that was a made up morph. Then there's also, Doug is also trying to sell these things called silver boas, and saying that they do this and they do that, and that's not true. That is a made up morph, and he's claiming both of them are co-dominants, and he's wanting like for a silver boa orange tail hypo like 2,000, 3,000, and calling them co-doms and double co-doms. And I hate to call somebody out on it, but I have to, because you know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, don't realize it's more, they don't understand genetics, and even people that have been doing this a very long time don't always get genetics and don't always get how morphs work. There's polygenic morphs, meaning like if I breed a real nice looking orange tail hypo to another boa, I'm gonna get some orange tail hypos that are outstanding with oranges and stuff like that. Others are gonna be normal hypos, and then I'm gonna get normal babies. Not every single boa that I breed an orange tail hypo to is gonna be an orange tail. You know, and that goes back to that pastel gene. You got it. Not every boa you breed a pastel to is going to be a pastel. Same thing with orange tail. So when you're sitting there and you're trying to, you know, market your snakes, and I respect anybody that sells or markets and breeds any type of snake. It's a hard thing to do. It really takes love and passion, because the reality of it is you're not going to make a ton of money out of it. I just spent $1,000 on rats last week. You know, I probably spend $3,000 a year on bedding. I probably spend $5,000 a year on food. So you're not gonna make a ton of money doing this. So I understand why some people want to sit there and take a line that isn't a line and make a line and then sell for $2,000 or $3,000. You know, he's got some amazing like Sun Dreams and stuff like that that are outstanding boas that are legit, but what he's doing right now with these fine line and silver boas, that's junk, man. And it's up to us to sit there as keepers and breeders and hobbyists to, you know, put people like that are doing that, not necessarily in check, but, you know, call them out on it. You know, say, hey, you know what, not that that's not a nice looking boa, but that's not a morph, and you shouldn't sell it as a morph, because that's not fair to someone that's just coming into this hobby, that don't know what they're talking about, don't understand genetics, don't understand morphs, and could possibly get taken for something that's not a legitimate morph. You know, so when you're sitting there and you're talking about morphs and stuff like that, make sure you know the genetics. I know the genetics on these super stripes. I know the recessive gene. You know, and so therefore when I breed her, say I breed her to a normal, I'm not going to get any super stripes. I'm going to get all hits for super stripes, and I'm going to get some boas with this Look at the just dripping pastel colors. I'm gonna get some phenomenal looking boas, but I'm not gonna get any super stripes. Why? Because I understand the genetics, and therefore I'm not gonna sell this as, even some of them will come off with little stripes. Okay, I'm not gonna sell that boa as a super stripe. I'm gonna sell it as a hit super stripe, because that's what it is. And so when you're sitting there selling and marketing things, make sure you're being honest and forthcoming. You know, don't make up morphs, don't make up genes and genetics to try and sell. Let the quality excuse me, let the quality of your animals speak for themselves. If you have nice looking animals, whether it's ball pythons, carpet pythons, boas, blood pythons, no matter what you breed, it's the quality of the animal that you sell that's gonna command that price, not some made up gene. You know, she, for example, speaks volumes for what she is. I don't have to market her babies as some new genetic morph. I don't have to say, oh, here's a pastel super stripe. Why? Because she don't have no pastel in her. So say when I breed her to the super stripe male I get, I'm not going to sell them as pastel super stripes, even though the color is amazing. Yes, do I think there's a pastel type gene working in the super stripes? Yes. But until that's actually really truly proven out, I would never do that. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to sit there, and these type of snakes are expensive on their own. So I'm not going to sit there and say, well, here's a pastel super stripe, the pastel part being unproven, so I'm going to charge you $2,000 for that just because I throw the word pastel in there. No, that's not who I am, and that's not who anybody should be. You know, like I said, let your snakes speak for themselves. And I hate to do that to somebody, but I got to call a spade a spade. That's who I am. You know, I mean, you take so many great breeders out there that breed just phenomenal stuff, that they don't have to make up genetics to sell. And so just keep that in mind when you're breeding boas or buying boas. Really know what you're getting into. Really study what you're getting into and understand basic genetics. Understand basic dominant genes, co-dominant genes, recessive genes, your hits, your double heterozygosis, things like that. You got to understand those. Joe Ball on YouTube has done some wonderful things on genetics, and he goes in, he did genetics on skinks, but they apply to ball pythons, carpets, boas, any morph. I mean, it's a really good, he did a whole web series on it. I think it's a blue tongue skinks on YouTube. I'll find it and leave a link in the description below. But check that out. You'll get a great understanding of how genetics works for those that don't understand it. So beware of when you're out there buying something. Don't fall for that whole new fangle thing. It's not worth it. You know, take your time, pick your snakes out, and get something amazing that's not made up. You know, hate to do a little bit of this rant, but it's been something that's just been bothering me, and I had to call it out. So sorry about that, but had to do it. Sorry about all the traffic and everything. I'm outside. Anyway, hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. This is Boxing Boa. Please like, click, share, and subscribe, and leave any comments down below. Peace.